Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Quantum on the Treadmill. Like always, these are questions I ask AI as I try to learn the mysteries of quantum. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thanks again. I'm John Willis, also known as Bochagalupe. 5 weeks into Quantum on the Treadmill, and I finally asked a simple question. One of the unexpected joys of Quantum on the Treadmill has been discovering, just how many questions I didn't know I should be asking. After about 5 weeks of reading, listening to audiobooks, talking to ChatGPT, and walking countless miles trying to wrap my head around the history of quantum theory, I realized something a little embarrassing. I couldn't clearly explain the difference between quantum science, quantum physics, and quantum mechanics. I had been using them almost interchangeably. As it turns out, they're related, but they're not the same thing. Quantum science, the Big Ten. Think of quantum science as the broadest category. It's the umbrella that covers every scientific discipline that relies on quantum principles. That includes quantum physics, quantum chemistry, quantum computing, quantum materials, quantum sensing, quantum cryptography, quantum biology, and emerging field. If someone says they're a quantum scientist, they could be building quantum computers, studying new materials, or researching how photosynthesis might exploit quantum effects. Quantum science is the entire ecosystem. Quantum physics, understanding nature. Within that umbrella sits quantum physics. Quantum physics is the branch of physics that studies how nature behaves at extremely small scales, atoms, electrons, photons, and other fundamental particles. It's concerned with questions like, why do atoms emit only certain colors of light? Why can electrons behave like waves? Why can't we know both position and momentum with perfect precision? Why does matter behave differently at microscopic scales than it does in our everyday world? If classical physics explains baseballs and planets, quantum physics explains atoms and electrons. It's a field of science. Quantum mechanics, the mathematical language. This was the distinction that finally clicked for me. Quantum mechanics isn't the field, it's the framework. It's the mathematical theory physicists use to describe quantum phenomena. If quantum physics is the science, quantum mechanics is its grammar. When physicists solve Schrödinger's equation, when they represent position and momentum as operators, when they calculate probabilities of measurements, they're doing quantum mechanics. The word mechanics is borrowed from classical mechanics, Newton's mathematical framework for describing motion. Quantum mechanics is simply the quantum version. A helpful analogy. Here's the analogy that finally made sense to me. Imagine medicine. Medicine is the broad field. Cardiology studies the heart. An EKG machine is one of the tools cardiologists use. Likewise, quantum science is like medicine. Quantum physics is like cardiology. Quantum mechanics is like the EKG equations and diagnostic framework used to understand what's happening. Or another analogy, think about language. English literature studies Shakespeare, Hemingway, and Toni Morrison. Grammar is the set of rules that lets us describe and construct the language. Quantum physics studies nature. Quantum mechanics provides the rules for describing it, why this matters historically. One reason I kept confusing these terms is that the history itself is messy. Max Planck didn't wake up trying to invent quantum mechanics, but he was trying to explain why hot objects glow the way they do. Einstein wasn't trying to create quantum theory. He wanted to explain the photoelectric effect. Bohr wanted to explain atomic spectra. Heisenberg wanted to describe only observable quantities, and Schrödinger wanted to describe matter waves. Each scientist solved a different problem. Only later did people realize they were collectively building a single mathematical framework. That framework became known as quantum mechanics. The broader understanding of the microscopic world became quantum physics. And the technologies built on those discoveries eventually became what we now call quantum science. Why I finally understand the difference. If someone asked me today, here's how I'd answer. Quantum science is the entire field of science and technology built on quantum principles. Quantum physics is the branch of physics that studies the quantum world. Quantum mechanics is the mathematical framework used to describe and predict how that world behaves. They're not competing terms. They're nested inside one another. And perhaps fittingly, it took me 5 weeks of walking on a treadmill before I realized I had been asking the wrong question. That's becoming one of my favorite parts of this journey. Almost every week I discover that the biggest breakthrough isn't finding an answer. It's finally learning how to ask a better question.